Wednesday morning, the 14th of March, and we're on our way back from spending a few days in Montreal. Some will call this pretty, all the wet snow sticking to the trees. I'm kind of sick of it. I'm ready for spring. Anyway, I've got a long drive today, and we'll be happy to be back home and be out in the garage. So we'll just take our time and crank up the tunes. It must be getting close to Easter. There's a bunny rabbit outside my window. Out in the snow. Hope he's not too cold. Alright guys, welcome back to the Taj Mahal. It's Friday, March the 16th, and we're just coming up to 12:15. Back in the garage after a week off, trip to Montreal. So I'm happy to be back in the garage, although I'm finding it difficult to get back into the swing of things. It's always hard to get back into the rhythm of starting back on the project. So we're kind of just wandering around in circles out here trying to figure out what we want to do first. So eventually we'll figure it out and get to work, but came out yesterday for a little bit in the garage and just cleaned up a little bit, so at least it's fairly organized in here to start with. Anyway, now we'll just figure out what we want to do. So I think we'll start with a baby steps approach today, and we'll fix this little area up in here. If you recall, I had fixed the flange on the exterior of this spare tire pan in a previous video. So now this is the what the inside of the spare tire pan looks like. So obviously I need to put a piece of metal in here. So I think what we'll do is we'll clean up this area best as we can, and we'll make a new piece of metal to go in here, and we'll weld it in after we clean this area up of all the crap that's in here. So we'll get to doing that as our first job of the day. That's going to be a pretty weird looking patch, but that's what it needs to look like. So we'll go ahead and put it in metal, weld her in. Great, we've got that patch just tacked in the bottom there. So what we're going to do now, I think, is we're going to flip the body up so I can get a little bit better access at welding that. I'm going to flip it towards this side of the garage first, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to start at the back of the body tub, and we're going to work our way all the way towards the front on this side, on the driver's side, and we're going to fix whatever welding repairs need to be made, pinholes, metal repair, whatever needs to repair. We're just going to start, like I said, at the back and work our way to the front and fix whatever needs to be fixed. Lots of little things to do, and we'll do it methodically. Alright, this is not going to be a very exciting piece of video, but it's still stuff that needs to be done. So wherever I find a repair that needs to be done or grinding that needs to be done, we're going to do it. So the first area of repair I see here is on this back valance in the corner here. We've got a little thin spot that we're just going to try to add some weld to. Then the next area of concern is this whole area here, where we've got an overlap of some metal that was put in here previously. I've created this patch here, but this was already here, this ugliness here. This is not me. So we'll try to clean this up a little bit. Lots of loose stray welding wire in there. So we're going to grind this down flush, and we're going to re-weld this area. We also need to do some seam welding here along this edge where the vice grips are still attached, and do a little bit more grinding and some more finish welding here. So those are the areas I'm going to concentrate on at the moment. Wherever I see something like this is a repair I did previously. It doesn't look like I got the best penetration on some of the ends of these welds, so there's some good penetration here in the middle. Wherever I don't see something or some welding I don't necessarily like, I'm going to fix it up while I can, while I have access to it. So we'll go ahead and do those repairs, and then we'll find something else to work on. Well, we burned through another spool of wire, so luckily I've got a spare. It's too bad I didn't keep track of actually how much wire I've gone through on this project. I can't remember how many times I've changed the spool now, but quite a few. Anyway, we'll get that spool changed out and we'll continue on. Like I said, we're just finishing up some of the welds on the bottom. We're just working on this little area here. This was where the air shock came out. So we were just finishing up this welding across the bottom, and we ran out of wire. So we'll switch that wire out, and then we'll continue moving forward. We'll tackle this area next. I think we're going to end up cutting a piece of metal out here, cleaning in behind here, and then making a new metal piece to finish this off a little more nicely. It's pretty scabby down in here as well. So I'll probably fix that up. We'll probably make this a little neater too. We'll probably make a nice square patch for here so we don't have this cut out. Just to make it look a little nicer from the bottom of the car. Just something a little aesthetic. But anyway, we'll do it and make us a little bit more happy. Anyway, we'll come back after we swap that wire out. Some of you guys have been asking what kind of wire I'm using, so or what size wire I'm using. So this happens to be a Hobart brand. I'm not using specifically any type of brand. I use Lincoln brand sometimes, no name brand other times. So I'm using anywhere from, depending on the brand, 0.023 to 0.025. So obviously this is 0.024. It's from Hobart and it's a solid MIG wire. So we're just working on this little corner piece here, and I just wanted to show you why I'm doing this. You can see all the rust in behind there. So obviously you had a major problem with water getting in behind there. So anyway, we'll cut that out. You can see where I've made the cut lines. I may go a little wider, but we'll see as we go. We'll keep taking it apart. So we've cut that area back a little further, and no surprise, there's a whole bunch of brazing in here. So you can see I've started to detach this panel away from the heel board here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to widen out this cut even longer. I'm going to remove the little pockets I made for the frame so I don't cut into them when I cut through the wheel tub, or the wheel arch panel. So I think we're going to bring this over a little bit further and down now so we can effect a repair of the rear of this heel board, which is just really this section here is a small section that we're going to need to repair and tack it up against this body mount here. So anyway, the repair is getting bigger as usual, but we're going to fix it the right way. So we'll get to work. Alright guys, there's how she looks now with that piece widened out, and I'm probably going to have to repair this area in back here at the top of the heel board, which backs up to this body mount. It looks pretty rusty, so I think we're going to end up repairing this panel all the way up and maybe across to the side of this bracket. I don't want to really lose this pressing here, so we may just cut this on the other side of the bracket, grind off this piece of metal that's on the inside of the heel board, and replace that with a new piece of metal. Obviously keeping in mind that we need to keep the slot here for the frame, but you can see I've cut out this section here on the inner anyway, so we need to replace that all the way up to the top, and then obviously replace this wheel arch as well. So I think we're going to take a break for a bit. We'll think about how we want to approach this, and we'll get out here in a little while. So I've gone inside and taken a look at the parts book, and it looks like the heel board from the factory, it comes out and then it has a flange that wraps over the edge of this body mounting location. So it would wrap over to about probably here, and then the wheel well fits over top of that and is spot welded. So what we're trying to do, and I don't know if you can see this, is we're trying to remove the top of the heel board, or separate it from this body mount, so we can cut it off and create a new piece here with a flange that we can wrap around all the way down to about down to here. So that's what we're endeavoring to do. So we're making some progress. We've got the cold chisel out, just trying to break that off this mount. That's a good thing that this mount is fairly stiff and of heavy gauge steel. So anyway, you can see the metal just sort of rolling up there. I hope you can anyway. So we'll continue on with the cold chisel to see if we can get that piece of metal off of there. Alright, here's a look from the other side, and you can see I've pretty much got most of that metal now removed from that body mount. And I think what I'm going to do is probably cut this up to this flange on the rear shelf, and we'll create a new wraparound flange for the top piece. Then we'll create a new piece from here across with a 90-degree flange as well to fix that area. Of course, we need to keep this slot here just starting below this bracket, so it's just about here. I really only need to fill in this top part with metal, but I also need to create a piece for up here as well, so a solid piece from here to here with a flange on it and the piece of metal that goes across there. Hopefully you can understand that. I guess it'll make more sense once I create it. But anyway, there's where we're at, and we'll get out of here tomorrow and we'll continue on. And like I said, the first thing we'll do is we'll clean this face up a little bit, and then we'll start recreating the new patch to go in there. Alright guys, that's it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Alright guys, Saturday morning the 17th, and we're back out at it, and we're going to pick up where we left off and continue working on this heel board area. So we're going to break out the tools, we're going to clean this body mount panel up a little bit, we're going to grind off all that excess metal off the outside, and we're going to try to clean up this top flange a little bit too before we can go ahead and put some new metal back in there. So we'll get to it, take some video along the way. So I realize this is not the most riveting video, guys, but you know, I've got nothing else to do and nothing else to shoot, so if you're not enjoying it, just fast forward. But it's a repair that's got to be done. Anyway, I've created a bit of a template here, so this is going to basically go in behind here, and it's going to look something like this. And then this, if you can envision it, is going to have a flange up here, a 90-degree flange that's going to wrap around the edge of this. So and then the wheel tub or the wheel arch panel is going to fit over top of that. So, and then I've got to go back inside. You're not going to be able to see this, but then I've got to do the flange from the top of the floor, or the rear shelf, over the edge of this new piece of metal that we're going to put in. So anyway, we're going to create this patch best that we can, and we're going to add the flange to it. So I'll make that, and I'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like when it's fitted, and then we'll go from there. Maybe it'll make more sense if it doesn't make sense already. I'm just moving on to making a template for the wheel arch or the wheel tub piece. So I've got this piece of cardboard taped to the outside, and we've gone into the inside of the body tub and traced out the patch area that we need. So I thought I'd give you a quick shot of that. What I'll do is I'll put all together the three patches that I'm making together in the end to show you how this is going to come together. Alright guys, there's the template for the wheel arch patch. I'd really like to be able to clean up down here, but it's got a bunch of structure in behind that I don't want to disturb. So we're going to do our best to clean this area up and see what it looks like in the end. It'll be better than what's there currently anyway. So there's the top patch. We've got one more little template to make for that flange for the rear shelf, and then we'll put it all together and weld it in. Alright guys, we've got all three pieces of metal ready to go, so I'll just assemble it dry. So this goes in here, something like that. Okay. Stay. This goes something like this. Okay, to box that in. And then we've got this little flange piece with the holes drilled in it, which is going to be plug welded. Let's go on the other side of the car. This, and switch hands with the camera. This will go like this, and then be basically, I'm just going to weld it straight, and then I'm going to hammer it over the edge, and that'll be plug welded here to follow this flange here. It'll close in the top of this piece here. So hey, we're getting pretty close. So I think we're ready to maybe do some priming, and then we'll break out the welder and weld everything up. It's taking a little while, but we're getting there. So we got the plug welds done and the seam weld done on this panel on the inside. We're just about getting ready to bend over that flange that we have welded on there. And then on the outside, don't know how many times I've walked around this car today. Anyway, we've got the plug welds done at the top here. So we're just about to grind those down. We've got some plug weld areas drilled here to plug weld this to this rear section over here. So yeah, I think we're going to do some grinding first, and like I said, we'll bend that flange over. We'll plug weld that in place, and then we'll get ready to put the final panel in place. Alright guys, the last panel is finally ready to go in. We've got everything primed. So this should drop in here nicely. We've bent it to conform to the wheel arch just a little bit. It obviously goes up a little bit, so that patch is going to look something like that. And obviously it'll be plug welded along this flange behind here. And I think that'll look good when it's done. It'll look much better than what was there, like I said. So we'll get to doing that, and we'll give you one last shot of that repair. Alright, she's all welded in there solid. We got the plug welds all done as well. So I think we'll end up trimming this little piece here, maybe just to make it parallel with the backboard. I'm not exactly sure how it's supposed to go, but I don't want it angled back like that, I don't think. So we'll just grind that down a little bit. But yeah, next step, just finish up those welds, grinding the welds, and we'll call this repair area done. Alright guys, just a quick shot of the completed patch. I've resisted the urge to grind it completely flush. We're going to do a little bit of short strand fiberglass filler over this anyway, over all the welds. So we'll just leave it where it's at. I think it looks 100% better than it did. And it's nice and strong now. Everything's welded to this body support. So we've got good structure there now, much better than it was before. So I'll take you around to the inside real quick. It's a little bit dark over here, but anyway, there's the completed product on this side. Alright, so there you go. We'll move on to another area. Well, I think we'll do one more job for tonight, and that is to just re-weld this little filler piece down here a little bit better from the bottom. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I think we'll clean up the garage. The bench is looking terribly messy. So we'll clean up the garage and get ready to get out here bright and early tomorrow. So like I said, we'll finish welding that, and that'll be it for tonight. Alright guys, just coming up to about 8:15, and we've got that strip filled in a little bit better, so it's looking good. Nice and solid. So anyway, we've cleaned up our bench, and we swept the floor. We got it organized for tomorrow, so we'll get out here tomorrow morning and keep moving forward. Maybe we'll tackle these sill mounts that are really not attached to anything. Maybe we'll attach those to the sills tomorrow, and we'll find something else to do. Still lots to do. No issues there.